Hey y'all. Well, I want to bore y'all with making soil blocks and with my new method of making soil blocks. Some of y'all may really enjoy this and actually find a new way of making soil blocks if this is something that you do. But before we get started, let me take you over here and show you the grow room has walls. They're not all finished. Back there along the top of that concrete wall, we're going to go ahead and build a wall there just for the warmth. I was going to leave that open just to have a place to store things, but I'm afraid that with the top of that wall being dirt, that it's just going to release too much cool air in here. But yeah, we have walls, we have electrical outlets, we have part of the lights up. There'll be lights, I'll finish the lights on the center shelf, and then there'll be lights hanging from the top shelf or from the top of the ceiling for that top shelf. Right now all I have up there is heat mats for all of these little seedlings up here that are started. And then down here on the bottom shelf, I have little seedlings that have germinated, and they're under the lights, of course. But I'll have a whole wall of shelves on this side with lots more lights. But yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. So there's a lot of stuff in there that will be coming out, obviously. Everything is still cluttered. The clutter will remain until everything has a place to be put. Now, over here, let me show you. This is my soil blocking mix, and it consists of, on the very bottom, I have, let me see, peat moss, and then I have mushroom compost, and then we have green sand, and we have what is that? Rock phosphate. So that's 3 of the small mixtures, and it's easier for me just to mix it in here. So I'll mix it in here. And then I also brought out, you can see our water is really dingy today. We've had so much water, and we have a spring house. And when it's when there's a lot of water running through our system, our spring house just kind of delivers some funky looking water, but it's safe. We never get sick. So there comes Pops. What you doing, Pops? Now he's gonna wave. But anyway, so let me explain to you what I do with the soil blocks and the reason that my new method is so much easier. First of all, let me grab one of these. Okay. So these trays, I bought them at Johnny's. I'm sure you can get them probably anywhere, but they're just like an inch deep, and of course they're full of the holes. And then I cut screen to fit inside of that, like that. I fill them with my soil blocks, and when it comes time to water, I just use my little long tub. I put about 1 gallon at a time in it because I don't want it sloshing up over the top of them. I just want it wetting from the bottom. And I can either just hold them down in there or set them down in there, because I just put enough water to not go up over the top. And usually 10-12 seconds, the top of the soil blocks will actually be glistening. And that's what you want, especially while you're trying to get them to germinate. You want to make sure you're keeping enough water in your soil blocks to absolutely help that happen. Now, what typically I've always used, and I think the majority of people use, I learned the soil blocking lesson or method from Lisa Ziegler, and she uses cafeteria trays. Now this cafeteria tray looks sad. They're They're not clean. I didn't scrub them, but they're sterilized in that I dip everything in a tub with just a little bit of bleach in it. So I dip it down in the bleach water. I knock off the big stuff, or rinse off the big stuff first, and dip it in there, rinse it good, and then let them dry. I figure they're going to be that dirty again the minute I start putting the soil blocks on there. So I'd rather just go ahead and sterilize what's on there than to spend all the extra time cleaning them up for whatever. It just doesn't make sense to me. All right, so let's turn back around here for a moment and go ahead and mix up. Oops. Mix up the blocking mix. And it doesn't take but a minute. This big tub right here that I have, I think I got it at Tractor Supply or at the Farmer's Co-op. Anywhere that that sells like little feeding troughs would have these. And to me, it's perfect because it's got the little slope side that makes it easy to pull all the dirt down in. And that works well. We're having some really weird weather. I know some of y'all have responded talking about the strange weather you're having as well. I know some of you got a lot of water up in Tennessee and West Virginia. I hope everybody's safe and sound. We definitely know what that feels like here. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and pour a whole gallon of water in to begin with, because I do know it's going to take that much and probably more than half of the next gallon. And I am using up the remainder of the peat moss that we had from last year. When we run out of our blocking mixture ingredients for this time, we're going to be switching over to coconut coir, because the peat moss, the peat bogs, obviously are, they're struggling, and they actually sequester so much from the environment or from the atmosphere that we need for it to. And by just decimating the peat bogs, we're just, exacerbating the climate crisis. We don't want to do that. Each one of us, if we just do what we can to help, that's what we need. That's all we can do. Everybody just needs to do a little bit, and it will add up to a whole lot. Anyway, he's working in my bathroom again today. And I appreciate that. I call it my bathroom because I guess, I don't know. I just claimed it. There's another bathroom that he showers in, and so I call that his bathroom. But anyway. Now, I don't mind if this gets too wet. Sometimes when you're actually using the soil blockers themselves, you have to be careful to try to get just the right consistency with your soil blocks, or with your mixture, because if it's too soupy, they'll fall out of the soil blocks when you mix them up, or when you pick it up. Or if you don't have them wet enough, it's hard to get them to pack, and they'll crumble. Just different things. But the way that I'm doing it now, it doesn't matter, and I'll show you why in just a moment. I did try to get everything all sifted and measured and the water out here and everything, because the video I did yesterday that I didn't release because it was so long, I had to do all that, and that added so much time. I thought that was pointless. Let's make this less painful for y'all. For me, I just enjoy having a little bit of company. And Chelsea is usually here with me doing the soil blocking, but this year, I've mentioned it before, she has some significant issues going on with her neck, and hopefully at her next appointment she will be getting some shots in it that will alleviate a lot of the pain. That's what we're hoping. All right, now if you can see that, it's all shiny, and I think we're ready to roll with it. Okay, now let me move my watering container and hold this over. All right, hold on, y'all. I've got to plug up my light. There's one thing that I did not realize I didn't have done. Hear all that noise that's slap banging around in the background? Yeah, that's me. All right. Now, that helps considerably. Get y'all set up where I can see what you're looking at. Okay, now, like I said before, I have for the last few years been using these, and they're actually, you know, they're a wonderful tool. You push this down into your mixture over there, and then you press it with your fingers until you get it, you know, solid, and you just keep filling it until it's above the little grid. And then you take your little scraper and you scrape all that extra off. And after you have everything all scraped off, you put this little piece on top and you set it where you want it to go permanently. In my case, it would have been here. So you set it there, and then you press them out, and they come out, those perfect little blocks like you see in the other room. Now that works. It works fine, and that's how I've done it for a number of years. But this year I'm trying something different, and let me take you in here first and show you what the difference looks like. You get to see all my mess where we've been ripping out insulation and moving it around, and it's all got to be either used or thrown away. All right, now you see these here, how perfect they are. Those are made with the soil blocker that I just showed you. See this over here, how messy it is? Well, not horribly messy, but those are made with my new these are the soil blocks with a blocker. This is my new idea, the soil blocker, and my new idea. Okay, now we'll tell you up front, using the soil blocker, you can put about 200 little blocks in this. So it does help with the amount of space that you're using. With my new idea, this guy, it's only like 128. I think that works, and let me tell you why. Because, look at those babies on the bottom. That just makes me happy. Green stuff. Because yes, I'm giving up some space. I'm making the blocks just a little bit bigger. Not not horribly bigger. I'm losing, you know, some space. But I'm speeding this situation up exponentially. All right. If I can stop moving you around for a minute, I'll show you what I'm doing. All right, here we go. Now we got you. I'm just scooping my dirt up and putting it on there. And I am leaving it just a tad higher. I want to get it in the corners good. Just a tad higher than the tray itself. Just to make sure I'm giving all my little roots plenty of space. And because the blocks that I'm making are bigger than the blocks from the blocker, I know they've got probably about twice as much dirt. That's what I'm thinking anyway. And of course it's going to take more soil block mixture, so be aware of that. So there are some down points as well, but to me they're worth it for the time that it speeds up making these things, because believe it or not, filling and packing those little soil blocks and then squeezing them out, because sometimes they don't squeeze out just so. Sometimes you'll have a whole little clump of blocks that fall out, and I'm sure that's from user error. I never have been able to get my mixture just exactly perfect, but all right. Now, yeah, it makes a mess. Make sure if you're doing this that you're doing it somewhere that you don't have to worry about ruining a floor or a countertop or whatever. Needs to be somewhere that will handle the mess and clean up easily. All right. Now, let me move you over in front of me. There we go. And the only thing I'm doing, I am going to get myself a little paint spatula or putty knife or something to give me an easier way of doing this. In the meantime, I just kind of block it off like this. When I have a putty knife, it will be easier. I just need one that will slice into it clean, something sharp. And I don't want to cut my screen on the bottom. But they're not as pretty, of course, as the ones that are made with a little tool. But it makes me happy to be able to do this so much faster. We will have, oh my goodness, I don't even know how many thousand flowers started. And then all of the vegetables as well. I think I told you all the other day that Chelsea and I are planning on growing vegetables this year for the purpose of selling them. Of course, you know, we'll have plenty for our own personal home use, but then we'll sell vegetables also. Just in case this might be a little bit of a slow year with the flowers. We'll just have to see what the economy does. All right, now let's go down the middle this direction. I love it that this floor is concrete. Every now and then I'll have to throw some water out and suck it up with the vacuum, the shop vac, and clean it up a little bit. Need to do that pretty regularly anyway, because Chelsea and I both have a problem with dust. Okay, and now the only reason that I'm even cutting them like this, I mean, I could do everything that I'm doing even without cutting them apart, but I'm hoping that that gives just a little bit of an air gap so that they can root prune just a little bit. If it doesn't, it's not going to hurt them. If I have to, when we pull them apart this spring, to put them in the garden, we might just have to, you know how, if you have several little plants that are together, you just kind of untangle them by wiggling them apart just gently. That's what we will do. Okay. Now at this point, I make kind of a little deep indention. I used this the other day. What are you doing out of there? Because I do want somewhere for my seed to set and not roll around on the top of the dirt. And the seed, I'm not at all worried about them not growing in this, because you give them dirt and light and air, they're going to grow. As long as the soil you're putting them in is somewhat nutritious, and this is. It has the, all the soil blocking ingredients that makes it nice and healthy for them. And then when they're up and they've got a true leaf, then I will start watering them once a week with the fish emulsion fertilizer. And no, I don't know why I went around in a circle. I mean, I could have gone back and forth. Sometimes my weird little thought processes don't even make sense to me, but oh well. It is what it is. Okay, now let's go over here and decide which seed. I think I'm still on straw flowers. I've got my seed up here. Move the light out of the way. Okay. Okay, that's the stalk. And stalk, they're kind of, oh, here it is. This is the ones I'm working on. Yep. I still have the, let me see, Monstrosum tall mix to do. And also the king size orange. And the orange is really pretty, so I definitely want a full tray of that. And we will continue, for several months, we will continue succession planting these. But let me show you my little book that I've worked on this winter. All right. Now, by the way, this is Lisa Mason Ziegler's book that I have bought this past year, and I love it. It's the Cut Flower Handbook. And this works for cut flowers or for home gardeners. So you would definitely not be wasting your money if you're a home gardener, if you want to be able to grow flowers like an expert. And there's a whole section for the cool season. It has the little blue edges, or kind of greenish blue, for all of the cool season hardy annuals. And then when it flips over to the peachy colored page edges, those are all the warm season. Those are the tender annuals. And this book is worth its weight in gold. Absolutely it is. Plus it's full of beautiful photographs, which I like that. But anyway, it helps you know what the flowers are supposed to look like when they're grown. It helps you know at which stage to cut them. It tells you if they can be dried. Just all sorts of information about them. What light they like to be planted in, whether they need to be direct seeded or whether they need to be started inside. Just all the requirements for growing a really, really nice seedling and how to plant it out. So anyway, using that information, and then sometimes I've had to use a little bit of information from other sources, I have made a book that Chelsea and I can carry with us back and forth to the garden. Lisa's book didn't have all the different flowers that were growing, but our book tells us, like the Ageratum, it tells us our start dates and our plant dates, how long it takes to germinate. This one says we're growing it inside and we're not covering it. And that means when we start the seed, when we get the seed in our dirt, we're not covering it with any more dirt because it needs light to grow, to germinate. And that's something I didn't understand years ago, and I know now that that's one of the reasons I struggled with germinating certain types of vegetables, because I didn't really grow a lot of flowers, but the vegetables, because some things actually have to have light to germinate. Then let me see. It tells us, you know, the planting information, how tall the little seedlings need to be when you plant them out. They're going to be planted in full sun. How many rows in a 36-inch wide bed, and the spacing in each row. If it needs support netting, and most of the flowers that we're growing do need support netting. And then the standard bed prep basically just tells me that we're putting some organic fertilizer on the bed and working that in before we plant. And very, very rarely will we also be fertilizing once they're in the field, other than that. And usually the only time that happens is if it's a cool season hardy annual and I plant them out in the fall. Then in the spring they might appreciate just a little bit more fertilizer just to get them up and running. But then when they're harvested, it tells me how tall they're going to be. It tells me how many days from the time they are started till they bloom. It tells me when to cut and where to cut.
Just I cut a board right quick without messing you up.
Yeah,
Never mind. I'll do something else.
Here's needing to cut a board. But anyway, we're going to, it tells us for drying, it needs to be at the seed head stage. That's just, you know, information for most of the flowers that we grow, and I've been trying to get the ones together for the ones that we might plan on growing at some point. But it's not completely finished. You can see I still have a lot to add to them, and some pages aren't even started, but I have tried to get all the cool season done, and then I need to get started on the warm season before it's time to get involved with that. But this book is going to be helpful for me and for Chelsea. That one we can carry around with us. All right, let's go ahead very quickly. Papa's needing to use the table saw, so let's very quickly get these in their little soil blocks. And then you can go on to other things. And I can get back to this and not make you sit and watch this for, 15 hours. If y'all were here, I'd make you help me. I'd make everybody a little tray of soil blocks and let you put the seed in them. So yay! Yay you! Alright. Now you can see this. This is what the little seed look like. They're pretty good size. Some of the seed that we plant are just pretty much microscopic. And you can take and pick them up with a toothpick and a little water and saliva and put them exactly where they need to go. Right now, I don't even know where we have any toothpicks or if we do. So I'm just doing it the crazy way. And just trying to drop them in the cell. Trying to stick to one or two in the cell. If it ends up more, if they miss my little indentation, then I will use, I think he went outside. He really needed that piece of wood cut. He went outside and used handsaw. But anyway, this works. I'll have to clean it up just a little bit with my tweezers. Pick up a few and put them where they belong. And if I have too many, and like that one just took 3. I dropped 3 in that one accidentally. But this works. And it doesn't take but a minute or so to clean it back up. Oh, there went 3 more. Yeah, I need to get me some toothpicks when I go to town. That really does work much better. Because they still have to be kind of pushed down into the dirt. So it makes it easier if you just go ahead and push them down in the dirt with the toothpick that you're setting them in place in. Now the straw flowers are not covered. So this is all I will do with them. And just make sure they're down in the soil well. You can see that's the one I got 3 in. And I don't mind having 2 in one. That's just a little insurance. Make sure you have something coming up in all the cells. But usually if your seed's fresh, you don't have to worry about that. They're gonna, most of the time they're gonna come up. That's my chair squeaking, y'all. All right. Well, I will finish this up off camera, but because I'm already at 35 minutes almost, and there's only so much of soil blocking you can watch. I hope y'all are having a beautiful day, and I can't wait for y'all to see these things up and running, and I can't wait to get them in the field. Hugh made potato soup last night for supper, and I had a bowl just a few minutes ago, so I'm sorry I'm rude, but it was absolutely delicious. He's a good cook. I'm glad. All right, y'all. I love you much. You have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.